Hi everyone, it's good to be back to your screen on the subject of human. My name is Sasani Eldis and I'm glad bringing this back to you. I've given you glances through my preambles. I've done like 2 preambles which I've uploaded here on TikTok for you to get to know about the book Exposé. You are human like I'm human. And from the preambles I did in the previous videos, talked about the subject human, how that you itself from the surfacing language means God, and man is the senses in which we perform on this planet, which we can all call a live human. So the book in itself was book that was stated by inspiration at a peak time. I gave myself to meditation about human life, vanity of it, and the essence and the resplendence of the human nature itself. So I won't take too much of your time per episode that I do, and from here henceforth I'll do short, tacky and punchy notes on human nature, and I hope that helps you to appreciate as your human self and appreciate why you are here in all your endeavors, in all your ramifications of your life. So it ramifies into your human, every perfect thing of your human existence. So 7 Gods, 1 Man is the title of the book. It is one of the truths that pinpoints the truth that everything that is seen, that is heard, that is felt, that is known, that is everything that you can identify by your human senses, whether spoken, whether unspoken, whether seen, whether unseen, they are all just the consciousness. There's a driving force that controls everything together, and that is what I call the big brain behind it, which is the consciousness. So pure consciousness is that virtue that consists everything of everything. Everything is one piece and all the same. That is where we call everything God. That means we can tag consciousness as God, because people want to tag God to a particular being like our nature. But God is consciousness, the brain box behind everything, the intent behind everything. So there is a puzzle in which all the pieces now appear like they are separate. That's when we humans find attachment with the things we see, the things we can touch. So we call them separate from the existence of the human itself, the whole consciousness. So those things are not separate, they are just pieces of the puzzle. And however, when all these pieces fall into place, when you learn how to connect your sight with your touch, with your feeling, with your heart, sorry, it's the other way around, the heart and the feeling, so you're able to know the man consists of all the trees, all the waters, the rocks. You consist of everything, and that's our human nature. So my advice when you read the book, if you need to lay your hands on the book, I can send you a copy. I'm doing the free copy share for this December, and then that was planned for only this December. Once it is January 1st, 12 a.m. January 1st, that's over. I'm going to redesign and redefine the book. We also have the sequel to the book. It's down to 56 years. The sequel to 7 Gods, 1 Man. But I'm going to redesign this book so that you can have a better taste of it. So my advice is that you read the book slowly, like I just learn the words I said in the preamble. Read them into good meaning. Read them into have the portrait meaning that it will help your appreciation of your good self and what human are in store for you before you cease to be this nature. 7 Gods, 1 Man. So the chapter 1 is a story that talks about the high water and character which are molded into the supernatural, transubstantiated form of human. Beyond this physical, beyond the sentient senses, beyond the palpable senses. Like the 7 Gods in itself, if you read a book, there's 7 senses. So you should learn to identify what the senses do and how the whole pieces of the consciousness, of the sight, of the touch, of the feeling, of the smell, of the taste are trying to do it to you on this face of our planet. How the human creation and how we are about to create it makes us feel this dimension that we are in. And outside this dimension, we have other fulfillment that we call the angels do their work in that dimension. And the power that lie in the atmosphere and manipulating things God created, they have their own computation too. They need to do things and they need humans to do it. So I think if you read the book, chapter 1 is about it. But quickly, let me go to the particular aspects that I'm going to lay our focus on. So we talk about the human mind. What's the human mind? When I told you human is something more to do with God, man is manner. Mind is the connection for all the senses, the interpretation of all the senses. The sight, the smell, are you able to connect them and bring out the existential relations between them in the mind? So how can the man be without mind? Can we call him you and mind? Or how can he be with the quiet man? How can the man have a mind and his mind just remain static, no voice, no interpretation? Upon the signals, upon the stimuli, no interpretation is not possible. In the light of this, the infallible mind, which we cannot have the brain, is limited by virtue of knowledge. The knowledge of a thing, and this is a laptop, and this is a tab, and how it operates. The knowledge of it delimits our mind, because it frames our mind. It patterns anything you see that looks like this in our brain. It stores the information, keeps it there. But that's how all things like this operate, until we brought to a vantage point, and you can start to question all we ever knew, whether it was real, reality, and virtuality. Talk about that too. Knowledge derives from the cardinal pieces of information we expose to bad sense. There's a kind of feeling that is unnatural about the know that we do. It puts us in our opinion that we are privy to foreknowledge about anything ahead of time. So that thing invites us to know that whatever we see, whether known or us, whether we are aware of it, foreknowledge of it, wants us to have a deja vu, like we've always known about it. Because the storehouse of information lets us always bring up information like it. The program system, put in code to bring out the information, the process information. It was already programmed. It makes it realize it was already been programmed to know that language. It wants to do the back end. The centrally placed pineal gland, the main anatomy, like the medical student, then the superior and the anterior and the anatomical structure of the brain shows how the third eye in the pineal gland, how they call it the third eye, impales in the frontal lobe of the pineal gland. We don't want to talk about much anatomy. It talks about the eye behind the eye and interprets all the things that the signals or senses are portrayed as. Now, particle eyesight is position objects in characterized dimension 2D, 3D. Beyond which you might not see 1D, cannot see sounds, except you honestly. So, but the pineal gland, when endorsed by declassification, when endorsed by this declassification, when you go into extra world, when you travel, when you extra travel, I can recommend books for you on that. That video, you need to explore more. Then you need to explore your world, but then learn to interpret it. Or you need to travel far and wide, you need to connect things together. To learn the whole things that seems impossible are felt, touch, to the hands of engineers. Because in John 14:2, where Jesus said, in my father's house, and many mansions. And if it weren't so, I would not have told you that would be a place. There are many mansions, biggest dimensions. We go there, and I see it, and I felt it, and I touch until you travel there into that dimension. There's a height behind the heights, which see physical things. So that's the mind for you. So that's the mind that interprets when someone does something. It brings the information for you. But you need to liberate the mind. You need to renew your mind. You need to equip your mind with the right knowledge. You need to study. If you find yourself approved, and fill your mind with the right spiritual kind of backdrop of information that interprets the things, truths, the plane, the nearest one dimension it will ever be. Imagine a child, you give a biscuit, and you only told the child a biscuit is a biscuit. If it doesn't travel to the plane of the manufacturing process where the flour, the ingredients are put together big, you won't realize that that's the truth. If you felt, you would feel one day that it fell from heaven or plucked from a tree. That's how the mind works. You need to feed it the raw information. That's when you travel to the plane, you get the raw truth, the raw thing. So the grander truth. the grand truth that is a biscuit. When you mention it to the guy, the kid, and it's you, sweet, is that the book? That's the grand truth. What is the grand truth that became out of flour? Something that you might have come across and you didn't even know without the sauce. So that's what the mind does. It brings you to the raw. So you need to feed the mind directly, purest, plainest rock. Don't let them bother mind. That's where the manipulates you. This is the false knowledge. It makes you interpret that. Without the knowledge of good and evil that Adam and Eve had access to that. Adam and Eve had access to Adam and Eve falsified their minds. The plain truth God gave them, they didn't focus on it. They didn't want to falsify the truth. So love is what I fast minded. Love was the plainest truth, or the grandest truth that the man should ever fathom. So love was fast rounding up and find the good place for the heart of man to be. That was Eden, the abode of God. Love. The enemy of love appeared to be brandished the power to be the mind. The weak mind that demon test for the character was compelled by that impulse to impersonate the one that was condemned from the beginning of creation. That the truth could be a lie, and the reality of God told them that to be a sham. Only a man could serve the place of the mind. So learning to act upon things that they see, they touch, they feel, and they will know that he doesn't have the right. He will know that the right not to budge at every craven design, every pleasant attempt to lure him into any abominable thing. He will stop nothing, the flame behind against him. So that's all for this episode. See you then.